Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Hyung-Shin Min. I'm a first year doctoral student in Teachers College at Arizona State University. And it's really honored to give a presentation in 2023 AIESEP conference, and then it's really glad to be here with you. The topic of this presentation is that exploring diverse modes to increase motivation and learning for female students in the context of physical activity, the multiliteracies perspective. So let me start with the introductions. As you already know, despite the substantial research about the girls in physical education field, the level of physical activity still remains low. According to the Cork and the Oliver 2014, they argued that the reason of this is that the many studies reproduce and recycle the results from the previous researches. So they emphasize that we should start from the what we already know, not just repeating the existing research. This brought me to find one of the solutions for female students in physical education field for improving their interest and motivation and learning. So this study is what I found students using the. So let me talk a little bit about the multiliteracy concepts. The New London Group, 1996, they suggested the pedagogy of multiliteracy to expand literacy with multiple designs for modes of meaning making beyond the linguistics, such as audio, the visual, gestural, and spatial. So, in this regard, the studies about this argue that these multiple modes make the learners more active agents and improve their motivation and learning. So that's why I apply this approach as an alternative way for female students. However, there are few research about the multiliteracy modes beyond the physicality that the female students experience in the context of physical activity. So this study applied social constructionism as a theoretical framework, and then this study also used the case study because I have to find the case where the physical education teachers, female students. So the 3P teachers and the 6 students and interview artifacts and the documents were also selected for data collections. For data analysis, I used the coding system from the Corbin and Strauss 2008 from the open coding and the selective coding and the actual coding for finding important themes. So the 5 modes were found through this data. The one of the modes is the gestural modes. It is actually the positive feelings while the girls experience the physical activity. For example, such as the bodily pleasure and peace of mind, like this sense of the body, they experience the physical activity. Actually, this is it's common modes in our field. It's not strange to you. So, however, the other modes, except the gestural mode, is very unique and then very important for this study. So let me explain the other 4 modes. The receptive mode is actually the responsible way where we can call passive way um, to experience the physical activity, because it is just to receive the most from the outside of our students. For example, they reading the comic book, or they're watching the games, and then also they're listening to the music related to the physical activity or sports. So through this mode, the female students could acquire the knowledge, and then they also can increase their motivation through this. As you can see here, the figure 3 and figure 4 is the example of the receptive mode for female students. The next mode is the expressive mode. This is actually the active way compared to receptive way, and then this is very important modes because it is more to express their experience in their own way, such as speaking their stories about the physical activity, or drawing pictures, or writing a diary or something about their experiences. So as you can see, the figure 5 here, it is actually the example of the picture one of the female students drew from her feelings when she played the basketball. So through this mode, the female students could recall their experience, and then they could understand more deeper than other modes through this mode. So maybe I will talk about a little bit more about this one later. And then next one is rational mode. This is actually a reasonable way to experience physical activity, so such as and then they can improve their ability about the physical activity. They could also learn the life lesson such as perseverance or patience or some to their best. So this is more reasonable mode. The last mode is the emotional mode. This is actually the mode the female students feel to while they doing the physical activity. Change their mind and their perspective of the physical activity by empathizing others in their similar situation or the ideal situation. And then also they became loving sports or physical activity from the just a simple more. So finally, this love, this emotion make the female students to participate in the physical activity. Now I'd like to wrap up by explaining these questions and the conclusions. The first discussion is the relationship of the modes, the female students' interest and motivation. So any of these different 5 modes takes their interests and motivation, especially the receptive modes and the expressive modes. It stimulates the rational modes and emotional modes, and then, but also the gestural modes. So through this, the process can make the female girls have more interest and motivation for their physical activity. The second discussion topic is in terms of students learning. So as I already mentioned above, the expressive mode is very important because to express their experiences, they have to use their own way. So it's not about just passive way, it's about the active way. So this can be very important way for the female students to learn their experience from their physical activity. So with the student learning, we emphasize physical education teachers more focused on using the expressive mode because it can make the students be active agents and then also make the students secure their self activity. Wrap it up. These diagrams means this synthesizes for 5 different modes, their relationship and their roles. So a quadrant, like dividing them into outer and inner, vertically and passive and active horizontally to facilitate of this study. As you can see, the are all placed on the inner side instead of the receptive and expressive mode, then expressive mode, inner side modes, and the gestural modes too. And then, as I already mentioned above, the receptive mode is more passive way. However, that's why I placed on the passive side. But the expressive mode is more, so that's why I placed on the active side. So this study is very meaningful in finding 5 modes, and then the relationship. So more attention is required on the multiliteracy in the physical education field. If you have any questions, just please send me email via this email address, and I will send you back as soon as possible. Thank you so much.